I'm Adam Lyle. I'm a founder of Padang & Co. Padang & Co., for those that you don't know it, is a company. We describe ourselves as an innovation catalyst. Both of those words are kind of self-explanatory, but when you put them together, what does it actually mean? But largely what we're all about is bringing startups, entrepreneurs together with MNCs, government agencies, basically to help them realize whatever their innovation, ambitions, aspirations might be. And we do that through a whole range of mechanisms. And this is not a sales pitch, so I don't need to go into all of that. But as part of that, we're very fortunate to work with Unilever. We're Unilever's technology scout in Asia and have been for the last 5.5 years. And work very closely with Unilever Foundry, which is Unilever's best-in-class world leader in platforms to engage with startups. And through that relationship, we were then fortunate enough some 3 years ago to be asked to develop this space. This space actually used to be a Unilever floor, 22,000 square feet, and we were asked to take it over and create an innovation hub, co-working space, kind of, let's see what it's going to be like, because it was, at that stage, just an aspiration. No one knew what it was going to be. So in the nearly 3 years, next Valentine's Day in February of 2020, we've now got about 90% full. We've got 250 spots here, 70 companies working out of here, and an interesting mix both of startups and MNCs, because the whole idea behind this space, and why am I doing this, it is pertinent to what we're going to talk about tonight, is about how do you get people together, how do you access talent, how do you bring the bestest, the brightest, the rightest people together. And so that was part of what Level 3 was all about, bringing the ecosystem inside the building, not just act as a scout. And so that's what we've been doing for nearly the last 3 years here. So that's pretty exciting. That's why we're here. But tonight we're going to be talking about other aspects of hiring in different ways, and a particular tool platform that we have designed with our partner Endorse, which I'll go into a little bit more. Then we're going to have some sharing, because we're going to tell you what we perceive some of the issues are, and we're putting forward what we've been doing, what we've been working in the marketplace with you, and we'd obviously like to work with many of you utilizing this. But you'll hear from me, and then actually you're going to hear some other people that are going to give you their perspective on some of the challenges that they've faced. Then we're going to take you through what we actually have done, our use case, to give you the opportunity to understand what we've done. And we're going to feature a particular winner of that program, and then we're going to see a live demo. So you kind of got cradle to grave in the whole situation. So let's get on with it, and we're still ahead of time, so that's great. So now I am pressing the right button. I am. And soon it will move, like magic. Right, UP Singapore. This is the story part of the evening. UP stands for urban prototyping. 7 years ago, I actually invested in the holding company of Padang & Co. And that company is called Newton Circus. I was introduced to that company. They were raising money. I invested in that company. That money that I invested, not a huge amount, but a reasonable amount, went to run what at that time was Singapore's first big public hackathon. And over the course of 2 weekends, I didn't know what a hackathon was, just by the way. So I did go along to see where my money was going, joined a team, and built an app over the course of the weekend, which kind of set me on part of this trail. So, but the whole idea behind that particular hackathon, the concept behind urban prototyping, was to get the best and the brightest together. And the thesis that we had, or what we wanted to do, was come together, bring technology people, business people, policy people, developers, business, students, young people, old people, everybody to come together to help make Singapore more competitive, more livable, more sustainable. This was June of 2012. And also, which is actually not on this slide, but there's another one, we were talking about big data and smart cities. Now, Singapore, as you know, aspiration is to be a smart nation. Prime Minister Lee didn't announce that till September of 2014. So there we were in 2012. We saw the potential of smart cities using data, but bringing people together, crowdsourcing people. How do we get the best people? How do we attract them? And I guess we were very successful in doing that. And over the last 6 years, Derek, my co-founder, and I actually formally joined and started the company about a year later. We've run over 70 hackathons, I think, and I don't know the number anymore, however many, thousands upon thousands of people. We've had 20,000 people just through this space in the last 2 years. A number of challenges, enormous number of scouting briefs, but everything really, when you boil down to it, is trying to find the right people to do the right thing at the right time. And so we've had frustrations finding it. We started as a company of 2 people. We're now sort of 22. Not a huge, but adding 20 people, and that hasn't been easy either. So I guess with all of you who are involved in hiring of one sort or another, talent acquisition, L&D, it is always a challenge for us all, because we all know it's us that makes the difference. Regardless of AI, still need people to run the AI. We still need people. So we've been on that same journey of how do we do it. So I guess we have had those challenges, and we've worked with many, many large organizations. We've worked with about 25, 27 different government agencies running challenges. I don't know how many MNCs we've worked with, but I imagine the number is probably about the same, if not more. So everybody shares similar problems. So how do we sort of wrap them up if we were to sort of say, what are the problems? So how do we get the best talent? We want to attract the best talent. I think, is that fairly, everybody who's going to sign up to that, that's a problem, getting the best talent? A few shaking heads, yes. But then, how do we evaluate? Because listen, I don't know about you, but sort of sitting down and trying to evaluate somebody in an interview. Now, I'm very technology interested, but I'm not a technologist. I don't have a PhD in any. I don't have a master's. I don't have a bachelor in any technology discipline. I'm sort of business and marketing. But so even if we do, how do we find the best way to evaluate tech capabilities? That's a challenge for us all. And then, okay, well, actually, we have got a way of how to do it, but it takes a lot of resources. So how can we be more efficient in evaluating people? Because we all want to get the best and brightest. We've all heard the stories of many of the brand names. I'm sure some of you might be here, of how many interviews you take people through to evaluate them. That's a lot of resources. Is there a way we can do it differently? So what we feel that's required is a system whereby we can assess people's skills through, a format that actually is placing people in a situation where they have to deal with real-world challenges. So bring them in, test them against real-world challenges. But at the same time, one of the other things that we've found with some of our clients is they're seen, and Unilever might sort of see itself, FMCG or CPG, depending on which acronym you want to go with, but not necessarily a tech company. Sometimes tech people will say, well, no, I don't want to go and work for Unilever. I want to go and work for something that I see more as a tech company. But of course, today, every company is a tech company. It doesn't matter whether you're selling hair care or detergent, foods, you still have to understand technology, because that's where things are and have been for some time. So how do we enable people to see us for the tech company that we are, not just what people think that we might be? So that's another challenge we've got to address. And then, how do we get out to all these communities? There are so many. How is it possible for us as sort of talent acquisition, a particular company, to find all these tech communities that I want to draw on? Not an easy task. And then finally, again, it's coming back to, yeah, I hear all those things you're doing, but it's resources, it's resources, it's resources. So here's the thing. The next slide. I've given you kind of the problem and what we think is a way to, and some of the issues that need to be resolved. And so particular solution that we've developed over the last few months and have been working in the marketplace. So Padang, I mentioned what we do. We're very good at catalyzing innovation. We're terrific at designing all these events. Just take that as written. We've done so many. We design the events. We're terrific at outreach. We've got a whole range of finding people in similar ways to perhaps how we found some of you this evening. We're good at that. Then events. You've got to have events. And we actually never describe ourselves as an events company, but we actually do very good events. We've run lots of them, and we feel very comfortable with the way that we run events, demo days, making it exciting, making it challenging, enough competition to keep everybody interested. So there's that side of the equation. Then, we're very fortunate to partner with Singapore's leading evaluation platform provided by Endorse. Now, they can evaluate coding skills and general tech abilities through a whole range of clever processes that are behind the curtain that I'm not going to speak to you about now, but in ways that I don't fully understand, but luckily my tech team does. And so what they do is evaluate tech skills in this sort of lightning fast way, which is truly fantastic and gives the evaluation. So you've got us on one side of the equation, being great at designing events, multiplying that with the ability and the depth that Endorse's platform provides, and you've got a knockout product which we've recently released with great results, which we're going to take you through in a case study later. So that's kind of the setup for the evening. What I'm hoping, I'm sort of putting it out there now, and I may be wrong, that you'll go out this evening thinking, that seems like a pretty good proposition. I've heard from a couple of people, I see how it works. I think this is something that we should seriously consider, and I hope that you do. But, of course, you can talk to us later, ask us lots of questions after you've seen the particular use case detailed by my colleagues a little later. So, I'm now going to hand over to Elin, not Constantana, because unfortunately, just very shortly, a personal issue came up and she had to go and attend to a family matter. But Ellen is stepping in at the last moment. We didn't even have time to change the slides. So I'm handing over now. You're going to hear from two different corporates, Unilever and Circles Life, just to talk about some of their challenges and hear what they have to say about our particular approach. So, over to you.
Thanks, Adam, for describing our problem statement so succinctly that I'm not sure if I even need to do this. Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen, and I'm the Employer Branding Lead for Singapore. I'm from Unilever. So, as Adam has shared, for Unilever, we are a consumer goods company, right? And I feel like I need to start off by explaining why we are hiring for digital and tech talent first, because that's the most common question I get when I go out there, and together with my talent advisors who are here, by the way, when we go out and look for students or mid-career professionals alike, because they don't understand how their skills will apply to our business as a consumer goods company. So PTK used to be based in Singapore. He's now our Chief Digital Transformation and Growth Officer. And basically, he explains it as going digital would help Unilever stay more relevant to our consumers by building deeper and more meaningful relationships with them. And what that means as a marketing, sales, and supply chain company is that we're looking out for different types of skills now. With marketing, it's not your traditional, like, we sell our products in N2C and we're done kind of marketing. It's data-driven marketing. It's also digital marketing, and it's a lot more in e-commerce as well. I guess the part that I really want to explain would be on the side of information and analytics, because people will not really understand how we hire data scientists and what they do within the organization. So just to share that we do have an I&A team based here, and quite a fair bit of them, although not comparable with the likes of Google and Facebook and your tech companies. But I believe you're all here looking at the same pool of talent, which is quite small and limited, and we're all trying to figure out how do we access them, right? So for our I&A team, we do lots of work around making use of information. For example, the team develops systems that helps our marketing and sales teams identify where we might grow more in, We do a lot around assisted or predictive decision making. So it's not just looking at past trends, but it's also predicting like what's going to be the next consumer trend and what do consumers really want and need, because we don't make and sell things that people don't want or need. The last thing is also a lot about having world-class information, and some of you might laugh at this, like, one source of truth. I think some of us here come from like huge organizations where there's a lot of data, but not a lot of insight out of the data, and not a lot of clean data, because the data might be conflicting. So the team also helps improve processes so that we can free ourselves up for time, for activities that really deliver growth, and for things that really matter. And I believe all of you would feel so much better if you drop certain operational things and could really focus on the tasks that matter, because now we've got data to help us make good decisions accurately and quickly. And of course, because I'm an employer brand lead, I have to explain a little bit about our talent strategy, digital for digital as well. It is not the same talent strategy that we apply to the rest of our talent pool with mostly marketeers or especially students, because we do a lot in that space. Particularly with the kind of digital or tech personas that you're looking at, a lot of them actually don't exist online. When we go for networking events, like the talent advisors will come back and tell me like, oh, these people don't even have LinkedIn, they don't have name cards. I don't know how to get in touch with them. Like, what do I do? Do I get their personal phone numbers? And it's an interesting conversation to have because, for example, how many of you here have got a LinkedIn account? Great, because you've got LinkedIn here as well. Yeah, and that's the contrast. You've got to challenge some assumptions. You have to first understand your target audience and what kind of people you're targeting. So these personas, they actually get jobs or hear of companies to join through word of mouth and referrals. So the first thing was to identify what kind of talent you're looking for, what do they want and need, what attracts them. You craft an employee value proposition for them, and then you identify the channels to reach out to them, right? Like a referral program works great because everyone knows one another, even if they're not online. And the last thing then is to give them a great experience. So digital for digital, right? Like you can't expect to hire digital talent by using the traditional recruitment methods. And not even just for digital talent, but I think for the rest of the different functions that we hire for, we also employ biometrics and digital interviews from HireView, and that really helps in today's world as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share. Do we have time for questions, or shall we have Dawn from Circles Live? Yeah. Okay, great. So thanks so much for listening to me, and I'm handing over to Dawn.
Thank you. So I click. Hello. Hi. I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. Some of you are ex-colleagues, friends, met quite a while ago. I was formerly a talent acquisition person also, and I definitely feel your pain when it comes to hiring. But today I am what you call employee experience expert. So what I do is actually in employer branding. And my special piece is actually in diversity and inclusion. So let me jump straight in to introduce ourselves, because we are quite young. I'm not too sure if everybody here knows about us. So, Circles Life. Yep, a lot of people think that we are telco. In exact fact, we are MMVO. So we don't own the relay stations. We just support digitally. So we are fully digital service. And why? When you pronounce our name, try and lose that dot in the middle, because I have a lot of people say, oh, you're from Circles.life. No, I'm from Circles Life. The dot is actually our URL. So if you key Circles.life, you go to our webpage. So, so these are our founders, very handsome, very young, very idealistic as well, painful sometimes. And they are very bent on being the very best in the class. And this is our vision. We don't envision ourselves to be solely a telco company. We are looking at consumer brand in the long run. As some might say, hopefully we will build a super app in time to come. We are only 3, so we are on our journey. So this is our mission. We started off really wanting to give power back to the consumer. I think a lot of us have been, telco users all our life, and sometimes we face frustration that we are not getting the best for the money we pay, and this is what we aim to give back. And also, of course, as all tech companies we are about innovation. And lastly, we are about building a great place to work. So that's why some people say, but you're only 3 years old. How many people do you have? We don't really have that many. We have about 500 at this moment in time, still growing. So this is our journey. We started in 2016. Currently, we have launched 2 other countries besides Singapore. We are also in Taiwan. We launched earlier this year. And we just launched Australia a couple of months back. And more to come in the pipeline. We also have a R&D center in Bangalore, as well as a customer service center in the Philippines. So that's us, our journey. So the 500 over people, a pretty young company. Hopefully, Indonesia, launching soon. I didn't know they put that on it. So next stop. So these are our values. And I'm just going to skip through this. And this is our employer value proposition. So in essence, we really want to be a great workplace where people can really do their best, bring innovation to the table, and really unlimit their own growth. So these are some of the awards we have won so far in the last 3 years. The actual person who's supposed to be here is actually not me, it's my boss. But he's actually in Bangkok right now receiving our latest award for influential brand as a top employer in the digital telco space. So this is me. So in short, I've ran through what I do. And now, back to the topic proper. So I did what I need to do. So Circus Hack is actually a hackathon we conducted a few months ago with the help of some partners like Padang & Co. So I'm going to run you through that. One day, one of our tech managers came to us and said, hey, let's do a hackathon. Everybody was like, oh, okay, sounds exciting. Then they say, oh, that's the way to go. Then you can really see what people can do in the market. You can see ideas, you can see how they react, how they behave. Because of our 3 pillars, one of it is really about the people. We really want to make sure that we are hiring the best in the market. So let me go into what we did. So basically, our team brainstormed very hard, given the very, very short time that we had, and it was actually near the exam period, to be very honest with you, when we ran this. We have heard complaints. So we actually ran it virtually. We sent out the problem question. We get people to register. We send out the problem questions online. They get 8 days to do this at their own leisure, at their own home. And on the cutoff date, they will submit their project and they will do a live pitch if they're shortlisted. So this is what happened in the background. Okay, so the thing that we try to solve here is actually looking at two sort of hires. We have a need to hire a lot of interns. As all startups are, we rely heavily on interns. So interns hiring might sound easy to most, but I'm not Google, frankly speaking. So my interns don't come knocking on the door. We really go out there and get them in. And second one is that we are very focused on diversity and inclusion. I'm a dedicated headcount that's only solely doing diversity and inclusion. This is something we wanted to do get it right from the start. So we wanted to promote that as well in the tech industry. And of course, at the same time, hopefully build partnership, build friendship in the market with other tech companies, other service providers, as well as to hopefully get some innovative solution, from the hackathon. So let me show you a clip that my producer put together for this event. So, like I mentioned, we have a lot of partners in the market that really help us to push the news out. I think collaboration is the way to go forward. There are also diversity groups that we specifically reached out to, like Girls in Tech and the Kodak Project. This is the result that we got from the after the event. So these are two of our hiring managers, our head of product and our head of R&D and infrastructure. So they were really happy with the qualities of the interns that we received from the event itself. They really felt a bit blown away by the enthusiasm of the candidates. And we also have our CTO who really thought that the solutions given were really quite extraordinary. They thought of ways that we didn't think of, and we really felt that it was quite interesting. And this is the stats that came out from it. Total sign up over a period of 2 weeks, we have 217 people. There's 27 ideas that were submitted, and we shortlisted 13 finalists. And on the day itself, we had 48 people who came to do the presentation. So I achieved my goal, which is diversity in tech. We had a special shout out from NUS. We awarded one of the teams from NUS, and they were really very happy. This is a team with 4 girls and 1 guy. And let me tell you, I shit you not, the guy is not a tech person. He's the business guy. So the girls were running the tech. So we were very impressed by the output. And most importantly, they came from all sorts of different studies. They came from different countries. So they really epitomized the prize that I was giving to them. I was really proud of their team name is called Pokemon, of their project and what they did for the hackathon. And as well as we have quite a lot of positive feedback as well. Because of the model that we engaged, and we didn't do it in a traditional way where we got people down into an event space to tough it out for the next 48 hours or 24 hours. We allowed them the space to do it on their own and trust that they do a great job. And as well as that it allows them to attempt the harder questions that were presented to them as well, coming out with a more interesting solution. Yep. So we also measured the before and after. Oh, sorry, I think I pressed the wrong one. Yep. We also measured the before and after event Net Promoter Scores from the candidates. It was quite astounding when we saw the Net Promoter Scores really shot up from the candidates. They were more convinced of us as an employer. They were more comfortable with our brand. And they were happy with what the questions, especially the questions that I received. They felt that it was intriguing work. So that's what we really wanted to show off to. And in terms of branding-wise, we also achieved a nice little boost from there after the event itself, and of people knowing about what we do as Circus Head. Yeah. So these are the shout-out from the contestants. They actually posted and tagged us back on social media. We were really proud of them. And very happy that they help us with promoting the event itself. Okay, so that's about what I have to share today. Yeah.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Ellen, for sharing your experience with us. Hi, everyone. I'm Ching Ping. I'm a program manager with Padang & Co. And I'll be walking you guys through the Southeast Asia Tech Recruitment Challenge that we ran for an organization that I guess we can't name, but we can guess. So the Southeast Asia Tech Recruitment Challenge basically kicked off what we have today, the recruitment platform, and it ideated it. And to us, it started on the premise of them wanting to hire 50 full-time data and AI talent across Southeast Asia. And also for them, they wanted to be able to challenge the current conventions of hiring. As Southeast Asia right now, it's still a very nascent space for data and AI, so they didn't want to look at academic qualifications, but really on how can we evaluate the skill sets and capabilities of these talents. And finally, it's also for them a platform to co-create and to discover new ideas, and how can they really engage the wider data and AI community on finding new ways of solving business challenges. On why they decided to, in a sense, partner with Padang & Co. There's, in a sense, a few very valid reasons. So firstly, it's on the co-creation of their business challenges. So I mean, in discussions with them and according to other options that they had, it was about our team being able to sit with them, sit with their exact data teams and to really work out what are the business challenges that they wanted to solve and to how can we bring in participants to really solve this with them. Secondly, was also Padang Coast and Indos's relevance in the networks and communities that we had across Southeast Asia. So I mean, our very extensive networks into data and AI communities and schools in the region really helped leverage this challenge itself. And I think thirdly is, in a sense, this partnership with Indos, I think to us is a very valuable one because it gave us the ability to evaluate every single submission, every single one of the 400 submissions that we received, and then provide very personal feedback and reports on that. And finally, the timeline, which was a bit of a nightmare. So it was an express timeline of 2 months, all the way from challenge design, outreach, marketing, roadshows, into evaluation and into demo day, all within the 2 months itself. So let me break down the actual timeline itself, breaking down each of the fragments. This event launched on the 5th of May. That's when we sat down with the various teams that were involved to map out what were the main objectives, who were the type of people that we wanted to hire, and what were the to-do lists actually. Challenge development was when we sat down really closely with the data teams and also the HR teams to really understand what were the criteria that we wanted to evaluate, what were the metrics that we wanted to measure in the person itself. And finally, challenge launch on the 21st of May was when we launched to the data and AI networks that we had. So I think for us, the insights there was about finding the schools and the communities, because there are tons of Southeast Asian communities out there that are under the radar and not discoverable, but through a very human networks that we managed to reach out to them. Going into the roadshows, to us, even through very explicit time commitments, the roadshows to us were very important factors. So we ran 5 roadshows across the Southeast Asian cities. So for Singapore, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur, Manila, and Ho Chi Minh as well. And to us, the roadshows were important because it gives a very human touch to this online challenge. Because it was a recruitment challenge, we really wanted people to come in, interact with the employers that they were having, and also to see the actual offices that they'll be working in as well. The challenge journey for this is a perspective from the participants itself. So from the registration of interest for us, it was the first touch point with participants to really gauge how much interest did these participants have in the challenge that we were offering. So we had about 1,400 registrations, and this is where we collected their emails, their profiles, and gave us a good sensing about what was the capacity of this challenge itself. Challenge acceptance was when we started to collect a lot more detail. So from this, we got their resumes, their LinkedIn profiles, and we got 1,200 submissions for this. So in return, they then received the challenge launch as well, and 1 month for them to start designing the final submission for this. Final submissions, we had 400 submissions at the end, and this was them submitting a full-on code repository, which took almost at least 3 to 4 days for them for hardcore coding. And so this was, to us, a very strong point to be able to evaluate 400 people within the short time frame of about a week. I think now we're going to the evaluation process, and this is where I'd like to invite our partner, Avadud, to go through that with you.
Thank you so much, Chingping. So I'm Avdut. I'm co-founder and CM of Indoors. Indoors is a coding assessment platform, and I'm going to give a quick overview about how the evaluation process works. So once the challenges are launched, candidates solve the challenges and they submit their project on the platform. It goes to a panel of experts. Now, who are these experts? These experts are CTOs and software developers at great companies. This is just to give you a quick overview of the worldwide network we have for the experts. So we have more than 400 experts on the platform. Just to give you a quick profile overview, so the person 1 has master's degree in computer science at Imperial College of London. The person 2 has a PhD in applied probability and statistics and works at Florida Institute of Technology. And person 3 has master's degree in AI and works as a senior full stack developer in Poland. So these experts are spread across the globe. And why are they doing this? Why are they evaluating this code submitted by the candidates? First, they get handsomely rewarded for their efforts. For every code review that they do, they get rewarded. And second, this is their way to give back to the community. These are really senior folks in this industry, and they have come a long way in their careers, and they see and know the importance of getting feedback at every stage of the career. So once the code submission is done, experts go through the code, they write thorough reviews, and system collates them in a beautiful report. Now this report is divided into two parts. First is the objective part. So there are certain preset parameters like code quality, test coverage, based on which the code is evaluated, the experts rate from 1 to 5. And then there is the percentile score for every candidate. So as you can see in this graph, this person is in top 10%, which is really good. The second part of the report, and the part I like the most, I love the most actually, is the subjective feedback by the experts. Every expert gives subjective feedback, writes comments about the code and the coding capabilities of the candidates. So it's divided into general assessment, where they write about where the candidate currently stands, what he or she is doing good, and they also write suggestions for improvement, what he or she could be doing better to improve in their career. This gives you as company admin or HR like proper data to make informed decisions, also helps the candidates to improve where they're falling short. So that's the overview of the evaluation process. Now I'll hand over to Divakar and take it forward from there.
Cool, thanks, Avad. First of all, thank you everyone for being here. Probably you guys would have received a couple of emails from us reminding you to come here a couple of times. So that's the guy over there who actually been sending emails to you. So you guys can network later. So just to go through the next steps. So from the shortlisting process, which is about 436 submissions that we receive, we actually send 150 profiles to the client, to then further shortlist about 50. So they have other criteria that they want to look at. They took 3 days to discuss with the rest of the team, and then finally came up with the 50. So all 50 actually got offered for a position within the company. But then beyond that 50, they also want to put a very good pitching for about 10 of them that they shortlisted from the 50 to be present at the demo day and show what they have actually built. So what we did then, for 10 of them, we actually ran pitch clinics. We set them here, we ran through a couple of rounds of pitching. So, tech people, it's very interesting to do the pitch clinic, really. But then they did a good job. So I even said, after the first clinic, we should drop one of them. But he came back really strong, and he was the top 4 on the day of pitch. So after shortlisting, pretty much this was how the demo day setup is. I don't know if you guys can already guess. But yeah, that will be a reason for you to network with us later as well. And we brought in all 50 that were shortlisted. All of them got offered on the spot. And some of them were going through more interviews and etc. on that same day. So we took care of everything. We did complete logistics for the demo day, setup, pitch decks, backdrops, everything. We did complete head to toe for demo day. And then a couple of key statistics. So through this challenge, we actually reached out to close to 25,000 data and AI experts. So these are very specific segment of tech. So there are developers, there are Java developers, etc., etc. So this was specifically data and AI. And then from there, we actually got about 45 countries, participants from 45 countries joining the challenge, from Poland, Netherlands, you name it, everywhere. Even though we were only focusing on Southeast Asia. So we were only reaching out to those from Southeast Asia. Then we had 1,200 participants. So officially, the ones that actually accepted the challenge dropped the resume. So the client get to really access all the 1,200 profiles for future employment if they want. And we covered 5 cities in terms of roadshows. And of course, we also looked at a large pool of communities. So this is an example of 150 different communities that we reached out to. These are tech-specific communities spread all across Southeast Asia. So we are talking about Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, all these tiny places where they had very dedicated niche-specific groups working around tech development. And these are specific data and AI, right? So 150 of such organizations, and we also reached out to close to 150 universities as well, right? So those are a couple of points. And next, let's hear from the winner of the challenge. He cannot be here today because he's working. And we will just play a quick video of him to share his experience.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I can't be with you right now. I've just started in my position through this competition. So, here is my story. I'm Ira Fernando. So, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I can't be with you right now. I've just started in my position through this competition. So, here is my story. I'm Ira Fernando. I'm 25 this year from the Philippines, and I have a degree in electronics engineering. My first job is technical support. And then while I was doing that job, I got into learning as a habit after reading the Power of Habit book. And then from there, I enrolled in an online course in deep learning and AI. Around 1 year prior to the challenge, I joined my first online course in deep learning at Udacity. Then after finishing that course, I got into a scholarship by Facebook, another one for deep learning, but this time in PyTorch. Then after that, I had another nano degree for deep reinforcement learning. And after I got that second scholarship, I decided to call it quits on my first job and then find something in AI. The challenge, I saw it around the time that I resigned. So I had nothing to do, so I was in Instagram and scrolling, and then I saw this advert, and then that's when I saw the challenge post. Yeah, so I come from Manila, and as we know, traffic is quite bad in Manila. So that was one of my motivations in solving the problem, because it was traffic congestion problem. I was lucky in a sense that it was 1 month long, so I have a lot of time to do research, prepare, and do prototypes. So yeah, I kept doing this, and then I polished the final submission until what you see in the submissions during the challenge. Being shortlisted was a very happy feeling for me. Like I said, I was out of a job, so being shortlisted means that I have first in line for openings in the company. So that was quite motivating for me as well after the results of the competition. I think the impact is more on the matching between an employee like me who doesn't necessarily have the degree like data science or AI, but I do have the passion and the skills to compete. So I think that shows future employers what I can do, what I can give to their company as well. I think the employer would benefit mostly because they'd see how you would work in terms of a problem that they're also working on in their company. So they get to gauge your technical skills, like how you solve the problem and how you approach difficult problems as well. For me, it was a great experience because it accelerated me to a position where I could be in a company that I can show my passion and my skills and do the things that I love to do.
All right, so that's Ira's story. So next, before we move into the platform demo, I would like to share a small story from the actual project experience. So we do a lot of projects, something similar to this. We do a lot of them. Sometimes each program manager goes like 2 or 3 projects at the same time. But this project is very special. So 2 months, I was literally working 7 days a week, going back late, sleeping very little, and I usually sleep very well. And the next day when I actually wake up, my wife asked me, who's Chingping and Gaurang? Because I've been like just telling their names in my sleep. That's how it is, and I still miss the challenge a lot. And stories like this is what really drive us to build this product, right? So yeah, I'll pass on now to Gaurang to walk us through the demo that we actually built.
Hey, thank you, Devagar. So yeah, just to answer his wife's question, I am Gaurang. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Indoors. So Indoors, we have been building this platform for almost more than 3 years now. We are working with a lot of enterprise companies, a lot of small and startups and SMEs as well. And I think this product that we are building with Padang is the culmination of all those amazing projects we have done, right? So Padang has been doing a lot of hackathons, Indoors has been doing a lot of evaluations, and that's when we thought we sat together after this challenge, and we are like, hey, let's productize this solution, right? And in a couple of months, almost 3 months now, today I'm very proud and very excited to unveil the private beta of this product. Now, when you see the demo, you'll understand that it's a very simple website. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to keep it very simple for the end user. In this case, the end user would be the hiring manager or the HR team or talent acquisition people from enterprises like yourself, right? So it all starts with the landing page. You have the normal landing page, the marketing messages and everything. But the most interesting part here I would like to mention is all these statistics. Between Padang and Indoors, we are covering a lot of ground. We have participants from 40 plus countries, from USA, Europe, from India, Asia, a lot of countries. We have a lot of challenge templates, and I think that's the most innovative part we have done here. So each challenge, so instead of building a new challenge for every new company that comes in, or every new enterprise that comes in, we actually have challenge templates now. So as a hiring manager, you can actually create this hackathon in just a few clicks, which is, I think, pretty amazing. We have a lot of community partners, and we have hundreds of tech evaluators, people with masters and PhDs, as Avdut mentioned earlier. They come from all walks of life and a lot of different countries as well. And we obviously have a lot of community members. So essentially, when you create your own challenge using one of these templates, you can immediately reach out to our whole community. And I think that's pretty cool. Moving on, when we go to the page which lists the challenges, you can see a lot of challenges. Again, this is not live yet. It's just a private beta. Essentially, you'll see a lot of challenges listed here, challenges that we are working on, challenges that we have done earlier, and challenges that we will be doing in the future. Right? So let's take an example, tech for SEA. It's a challenge which happened, it's actually going to happen in 2020. There was a bug there, 2019. So it's being done for a company called Conversance. Conversance is a digital agency, and they do a lot of innovative projects regarding data science and artificial intelligence with their clients. So for completing these projects, for fulfilling all these requirements, they need to hire a lot of data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers. That's why actually they came, so they come to the website, HackHire, they use one of these templates, and they create a page like this. So this page is kind of a template. Each hackathon, each challenge will have a page like this. And along with such a templated page, each hackathon also gets its own dedicated microsite. So if you click on find out more, it takes you to the dedicated microsite for this particular challenge. Now the microsite here is quite interesting because this is where we actually work with the clients, right? We work with them to understand their business challenges, to understand their business problems, and we actually put all the problems on this microsite. Now this is important because, as Don was saying earlier, it's very important to have employer branding, right? So through these challenges, employers can actually create a great relationship with their candidates. And that's even before they join the company, right? So what happens is, as a candidate, even before joining the company, you get a taste of what it's like to actually work in the company. They actually get an idea of what they will be working on, right? So for example, for this digital agency, one of the problem statements could be, design an innovative AI solution for hiring a lot of developers, something like that. Now what happens is the candidates are all driven to this page, to this microsite. They can register their interest and they can participate in the challenge. So once they participate in the challenge, they start getting regular reminders and regular emails with all the challenge statements, with all the reminders to complete the challenge. Again, the period could be flexible. So some companies, some clients, the challenge could go on for 1 month. Some challenges can last only for 2 weeks, or it could be even 3 months. It's up to the client requirements. So once they register the interest, the candidates go back at their home. They actually create the solution. And now I think this is the most interesting aspect. So as Don was saying, instead of just sitting in a room overnight and hacking something over a weekend, in this case, they actually get a lot of time. As Ira was saying, he actually built a solution and he kept on iterating on the solution. He kept on improving the solution until the submission date. And that's why his solution was really good. Our entire team was actually doing, working with our evaluators. We were doing the quality control. We were actually checking whether each of the evaluations is correct or not. And we all were working until quite late. I'll tell you why Divakar was saying my name. That's because on the deadline of these evaluations, while we were doing quality controls, we actually worked for 18 hours straight without sleeping for 2 days. And at 3:30, when we were about to be, done with everything, I just sent a message to Divakar. Hey, Divakar, it's almost done. Kudos. And he called me. He's like, oh, great, it's done. That's at 3:30 a.m. It was quite exciting. Anyway, so what happens is when the candidate actually completes the coding, they come back and then they submit their code. That is done by submitting a link to their GitHub or Bitbucket repository. And that's where the magic kicks in. That's where this piece of code goes to the panel of experts on Endorse. Now imagine your code is being evaluated by people from USA, from Africa, from Europe, from India, multiple places, right? All these people are actually continuously working towards only one goal, to evaluate every submission on the platform. So once the evaluations are done, there are scores and the reports are continuously updated on a leaderboard like this. This leaderboard actually shows a list of all the candidates, countries from where they are actually appearing, and the score. So this score is out of 10. These are some fictional scores, obviously, but getting a score of 9.9 is very difficult on our platform. Our experts are quite brutal with their assessments because they are assessing these candidates as industry professionals. So by looking at these scores, you actually know where the candidates stand vis-a-vis industry practitioners. Now, if you click on one of these candidates, you can also see a beautiful report. This is obviously a sample report. The report was explained by Avdut earlier. And I think the best part about this report is the percentile ranking and also the spider graph. So you can actually pick out where the developer is lacking, where the candidate is lacking, in which skill. Is it code quality? Is it testing? And for all you developers and product managers out here, let me tell you, okay, uh, can someone guess for any average developer what would be the lowest score on average on indoors? Anyone? On which parameter are the developers scoring lowest on average? Any guess? Exactly, test coverage. So test coverage is being ignored by a lot of developers, and this is a very interesting statistic. So yeah, this is the report, and this is how the platform works. I assume you guys find it very easy, and you'll go home and start registering your interest for actually creating these hackathons. We are looking forward to it. Thank you. Divakar.
Thank you, Gaurang. So, last few takeaway points before we go for networking. First of all, what we found out is traditional hiring methods might not really bring effective tech hires. So there must be additional elements involved, such as tech assessment, to make it more effective. Secondly, a customized tech challenge that can actually help you with real problem statements will be more relevant for the role that you are hiring. Thirdly, each submission will be assessed by 4 to 6 experts, which is very heavy resource requirement if you are doing it internally. So this is being done by external experts. And then a single challenge can help you to fill multiple roles very, very quickly, right? And then as a challenge owner, you also get to access a large pool of tech community, not necessary for you to hire them at that point, but you have access to them. And lastly, you also get to put your brand out there as a tech-first company. All right? So next up, please visit the site. You can scan the QR code. So you'll be filling up a form to be first in line to test this platform when it's ready in Q1 2020. And if you have any other questions, you can also redirect to us over there. And then during networking, everyone with the red lanyard that you can see will be available for you to ask more questions, so especially my colleague over there, Daryl. And that's all. Thank you very much for being here.